Hello, hello, kind person marking my work. I have an interesting thing to mention here at the start. For the project, obviously, I've clicked open to make sure everything works first. But if you kind marker are looking at the project and going, "Oh, this doesn't work," she's not made a game. I have, for some heaven forsaken reason that I can't seem to quite figure out after a lot of time trying to fix it. Um, You have to open round setup, and only then will the project work, which is really weird because in the code, um, I can't remember exactly where it is. Yeah, here it is. I force a load. I force it to load. I go, you're loading now. Doesn't seem to care. Anyway, this is my little game. I the idea for it was basically breakout. But there's some rogue-like elements. How did it go? Don't really want to talk about that part of the project. It's gone well. C++ has some weird higgles and piggles that obviously Blueprint doesn't. I think with more time in the in C++, this would be easier to manage, and I would know the workflows, and I know all the ups and downs and all that sort of thing. But C++ has felt very, yeah, it's felt very temporary. It's very, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and the difference is I opened an asset and I have no idea what the difference was. Um, but about this game, um, the idea was that you sort of collect blocks and you have to try and meet the score goals. All very exciting. Core C++ stuff, block loading, the blocks, block data, all of that is handled C++. I'm using some interesting stuff with T functions to handle like callbacks. So when you remove a block, the block doesn't have like a remove function or an event. When something creates or adds a block to a list, it adds a function to an array that goes, hey, call this when you're dying, call this when you want to be removed. That's the most, really. Everything else can be done in Blueprint. I've just been doing it in C++ to learn a bit more. It's got events, as you see up at the top. Up, see everything up there goes. You see the balls goes down. If I were to run out of a screen before a goal comes in, that would go down. Only issue, and this is really weird because I'm just calling the same function again. If you are to complete a screen, it doesn't load. I don't know what that is. Um, I unfortunately, because of collab, which I know is a horrific excuse, just have not had the time or the sort of knowledge to fix that issue. I would love to sit down and learn more about C++, but yeah, pretty simple game. Everything's kind of done in C++. There's bits, um, like some logical bits I prefer to do in Blueprint. So basically anything visual is done in Blueprint or anything like subsystems. So much nicer to just stick into Blueprint. So I've done that with those. This is all visual stuff, so this just gets stuck in here. I did try to do this in C++. Um, Even though I copied everything pretty exactly, didn't work. So this is a Blueprint implementable event. Other thing that is a lot of Blueprint is UI. Just because when I'm making UI, I'm looking here, I'm building in here, and then for simple things like update score, you know, is it worth going into C++ for very simple things like that? I don't particularly think so. I would delve into C++ in that instance for, if I was doing some sort of complex animation that wanted me to know curves and positions and I was updating things a lot. But for just simple event bindings, I've just been sticking with Blueprint and all this business. You have your game over stuff, like all this. A lot of it is in C++. Like main screen is entirely C++ at this point. But yeah, just little side UI bits. It's like, is this worth a full recompile? Probably not. Anyway, I will stop jabbering on. Maybe I'll put this in 2 times speed and I'll sound a bit like a chipmunk. We'll see. Thank you so much for listening. That was very awesome and epic. Um, I would really like a 46. I'll push it to a 47 if we're feeling generous. Thank you, kind marker. I hope I covered everything. Probably not.